Hello friends, Namaskar, this is Sanjay. Welcome to this video series where we will be covering 150 questions about Vygotsky's sociocultural theory, ZPD, scaffolding and other concepts. This video is part 5 of this video series, and if you have watched this somewhere from the middle, then you should start watching from part 1 onwards, where I have given a simplified explanation of Vygotsky's sociocultural theory, ZPD and scaffolding, and also spoken about what is a constructivist classroom. In each part, we will be solving 15 questions, and there are two versions of this video. This is the English version, and if you are comfortable with Hindi explanations and answers, then there is a Hindi version as well, which you can watch. Knowing about Vygotsky's theories and concepts and solving all the previous questions from CTET paper 1 is very important for your preparation, because in some question papers, you can solve almost 12 out of the 30 questions if you are familiar with Vygotsky and his theories and concepts. These concepts and theories are very easy and simple to understand and easy to remember as well. And due to the strong influence on the NEP, you'll see that many of the NEP related questions also can be answered easily if you are familiar with Vygotsky's theories and concepts. So let's get started. How are children understood in a constructivist frame? Now, if you look at any of the theorists who are from the constructivist school of thought, you'll see that they consider children to have a lot of innate curiosity. That is, they are curious about a lot of things, and whenever they get any new information, they will add it to the knowledge or to the information that they already have and construct new knowledge out of this. So children are born with a lot of innate curiosity to explore the world. And that is the correct answer. They are not passive beings, they are not miniature adults, and they are definitely not born evil. How should a teacher respond to young children talking out loud to themselves? That is self-talk. If you remember Vygotsky's theory, this self-talk is also known as private speech, and private speech is used for self-regulation and self-guidance. When we look at the options, the first one talks about ego-centricism, so this is incorrect. The next one says it's a distraction, this is also incorrect. And the third one says that it facilitates self-regulation. So this is the correct answer, because self-regulation and self-guidance is the purpose of private speech. Therefore, this is option 3 is correct. The last one says because it ends the teacher's responsibility. This is a very incorrect option. In a child-centered classroom, children are which of the following? Now, a child-centered classroom is where children are given the highest importance. It is not teacher-centric, it is not textbook-centric, it is child-centric. And this question can be answered using Vygotsky's socio-constructivist theory, which says that children actively construct knowledge in their minds using the information that they get from various sources, such as social sources or cultural sources. Now, if you look at all the answer choices, the second one says that children are actively engaged in construction of knowledge. Therefore, the correct answer here has to be option 2. Children are not passive imitators. Children are not just eager to copy answers from the blackboard, and children are not just passive listeners. So, even if you look at all the other options, they are incorrect. Therefore, only option 2 is correct. In a child-centered classroom, learning happens through which of the following? Now, the moment we talk about child-centered classroom, where children are given the highest importance, the utmost importance, we have to think about a socio-constructivist classroom. So here, children are actively constructing knowledge using the information that they get from various sources. So we have to look at all the answer choices and see which one of them talks about construction of knowledge. So the third option says that learning is co-constructed by the teacher and the students. Therefore, this has to be the correct answer. The first one says it happens through stimulus and response association. This is behavioral learning. Therefore, this can be eliminated. The next one says rewards and punishment. This again is behavioral training. Therefore, this can be eliminated. And the last one, dependent solely on the teacher, and the student's role is passive. Now, the student's role cannot be passive in a child-centered classroom. Therefore, this can be eliminated. So the trick here is, first, whichever option has this word passive, eliminate that, because that will be the wrong answer. Next, look at the answer which talks about construction of knowledge, and that will be the correct answer. In this question, we are being asked, in a child-centered classroom, students are which of the following? Now, as I have been repeating, when it comes to a child-centered classroom, you have to think about Vygotsky's socio-constructivist theory, and remember that children actively construct knowledge in their mind. So the correct answer should have the keyword, that is active or construction. Now, if you look at all the answer choices, the second one says active constructors of knowledge. That is, students or children are active constructors of knowledge. Therefore, this is the correct answer. So The answer choices which have passive can be directly eliminated. Blank slates, again eliminate, and do not have much of a role in their own learning. It is absolutely incorrect. So can be eliminated. So remember, the keywords active, construction are going to be there in the correct answer, and passive should not be there in the answer. In this question, we are being asked that in a child-centered classroom, what is the role of the teachers? So if we look at all the options, again, we can use the same trick. If it is a child-centered classroom, immediately think of Vygotsky's socio-constructivist theory, and the correct answer will have one or more of these positive keywords, that is active, construct, social, language, culture, or peer learning. And the answer should not have any of these negative keywords associated with the socio-constructivist theory, that is passive, no role, or imitators. So when we look at the options, the first one says do not have any role, which is no role. So we can eliminate this. Next, children or teachers take a passive role. This also can be eliminated. And the next one says create a collaborative classroom, ethos to promote learning. So collaborative classroom is nothing but peer learning. Therefore, this has to be the correct answer. And the last one, have the role of a dictator to instruct children. Now, the teacher just cannot be a dictator in the class. Therefore, this also can be eliminated. So remember, the correct answer will usually have one of these keywords or a meaning of one of these keywords, and should not have one of these negative keywords. In a class comprising of culturally diverse students, that is children from different cultural backgrounds, which of the following should be avoided by the teacher? Okay. Now, when we look at this question, this is not directly based on Lev Vygotsky's theories, but the socio-constructivist theory can be used to find the answer. Now, Lev Vygotsky says that social factors and cultural factors are very, very important because children get their information or inputs from these factors, and language is the means through which they get this information, and they use this information to construct knowledge in their mind. So culture should be encouraged. Now, when we look at the options which should be avoided by the teacher are those which do not encourage cultural inputs. The first one says bringing examples from diverse cultures into the discussion. If this is a culturally diverse students, that is students are there from all the states of India or different states of India. So children should be encouraged to bring their examples from their own culture, that is from different states, because the other children can learn from such examples. Therefore, this should not be avoided. And the next one, developing curriculum and teaching style suitable for the dominant culture. That is, if there is a majority of students from one state, then if all the curriculum and teaching style is geared towards only that dominant culture, that is the majority state, then the children from other states may not be able to understand much. Therefore, this should be avoided. That is, all states or all cultures should be given equal importance, and all the students should be encouraged to share information and knowledge from their own culture. Therefore, developing curriculum and teaching style suitable for dominant culture should be avoided. Therefore, this is the answer here. The next one, encouraging students to share unique features of their culture. This should be encouraged because students should be encouraged to bring examples from their own states, from their own culture. Next, promoting culture of respect and acceptance. This is also absolutely correct and should not be avoided. In a classroom, students are working in small groups on a task, and the teacher is facilitating each group. Which approach is being followed in this classroom? So, if you look at the question, there are two factors that you need to notice. The first thing is that students are working in small groups. So this is nothing but peer learning, and the teacher is facilitating each group. That is, she is forming the groups and she is helping the groups conduct the activities. She is giving them clues or she is giving them some support. So this teacher facilitating each group is nothing but an example of scaffolding. Now, peer learning and scaffolding should give you a clue that this is a social constructivist classroom approach. Therefore, the correct answer is constructivistic. In a constructivist classroom, as envisioned by Piaget and Vygotsky, the teacher does which of the following? Now, when we are talking about a constructivist classroom, it says that students will actively construct knowledge using the information that they get from various sources. So, the option which says that it gives an opportunity for children to do the construction of knowledge should be the correct answer. The first one is the teacher gives long lectures in various topics. If the teacher is just giving long lectures, then the students may or not be interested. They may or may not be even listening to the lecture. Therefore, this is incorrect. Next, the teacher provides an opportunity for the students to engage in inquiry and problem solving. So, inquiry and problem solving are active processes through which children will understand the information that they are getting and convert it into knowledge. Therefore, this is something which is specific to constructivist approach or constructivist classroom. The third option says takes a back seat and observes the students. Correct, but first teacher has to give some instructions, teacher has to give some guidance, only then she can probably take a step back and see what the children are doing, right? But if the teacher is just taking a back seat and are just observing the students, then what are the students going to learn? Therefore, this is incorrect. The next one, dictates all answers to the questions in the textbook. If the teacher is just dictating, how does she ensure that the students actually understood anything? Therefore, this option is also incorrect. In a constructivist classroom, as envisioned by Piaget and Vygotsky, learning happens through which of the following process? Now, we are talking about a constructivist classroom here, and what Piaget and Vygotsky say is children play an active role in the construction of knowledge in the constructivist classroom. So they take the information that they get from various modes and they process this information into knowledge, and this is an active process. So when we look at all the answer choices, the last one says happens by pairing of a stimulus and response. So this is behavioral training and this is not part of a constructivist classroom. Next is dictated by the students who are passive recipients of the same. Now this does not make sense. Why is it dictated by the students who are passive recipients? This should be dictated to the students who are passive recipients. In any case, passive is the word that you should avoid. Therefore, this is incorrect. The first one says is offering the reinforcement by the teacher. This sentence again doesn't make much sense, but here again they are trying to say that learning happens because of reinforcement by the teacher. This again is incorrect because learning happens when the children actively process the information in their brains. Now the second option says learning is constructed by the students who play an active role. So this is exactly what Vygotsky and Piaget say, that children or students actively construct knowledge in their brains. Therefore, option 2 is the correct answer. In a constructivist frame, that is, in the constructivist theory, right, learning happens through which of the following process? Now, we are talking about constructivist frame. So, we are talking about Piaget's or Vygotsky's theories here. And when we talk about Vygotsky's theory, you have to remember that Vygotsky said that children receive social inputs, cultural inputs, through language, and they actively process these inputs into knowledge. Now, when we look at all the answer choices, you have to see which one has most of the keywords from this theory. Now, option number 2 says children actively process and it is social in character. That is, active and social are two keywords which are in Vygotsky's theory. Therefore, option 2 is the correct answer. If you look at the first option, it says a change in behavior as a result of experience. This is behavioral training or behavioral learning, and this is not part of the constructivist framework. So we can eliminate this. Next one, passive and individualistic. As I have been mentioning, if this word is there, then this cannot be part of the constructivist framework. Therefore, because it has a negative keyword, passive, we can eliminate this option. And the last one says, learning is the process of acquisition of knowledge. But constructivist framework says learning is where children acquire information from various factors and they convert that information or construct their information into knowledge. Therefore, it is not just about merely acquiring knowledge, it's about acquiring information and constructing knowledge out of it. Therefore, this last option is also incorrect. So option 2 is the correct answer. In a multilingual classroom, that is, in a classroom where there are children from different language backgrounds, so a teacher should do which of the following? Now, this question can be answered using Vygotsky's theories, or this can also be answered by looking at the NEP, that is the National Education Policy. Now, NEP says that in classrooms, especially at a younger level, native language, that is mother tongue, should be given a lot of importance because children learn faster if things are taught to them in their mother tongue. Therefore, NEP encourages the use of mother tongue or native language in the classroom. Now, when we look at the answer choices, the first one says discourage the use of native language for communication. So this is incorrect because native language is encouraged. Then recognize only the predominant or the majority language. This is also incorrect. And the third one says create awareness about the diversity of languages and allow their use as per students' preference. At a young level, right? When children are very young, you should encourage them to use their native language because they are more comfortable in speaking and thinking in their native language, and slowly you are introducing other languages as well. Therefore, the teacher should create awareness about the various types of languages that are spoken in India and allow usage of the children's native language as per their comfort and slowly introduce other languages. Therefore, option 3 is correct. The last one says discourage the use of languages other than one target language such as English. So this is incorrect as per NEP. Therefore, this also can be eliminated. Now, even if you look at Vygotsky's theory, Vygotsky says that language is very, very important because language is not just the means of acquiring information from various factors or various inputs, but language is also the way in which children will process or construct knowledge in their brains. So, language is a very, very important tool, and if children are comfortable in their mother tongue, which is the first language that they learn, then they should be encouraged to speak in their native language. Therefore, option 2 is correct, even if you look at Vygotsky's theories or even if you look at NEP. In a progressive classroom, learning happens through which of this following? Now, when we look at the question and the answer choices, we see that what we are being asked to identify is which of them is a social constructivist classroom, which is what is a progressive classroom. And in a progressive classroom, the learning is children centric or the student centric, right? It will not be textbook centric, it will not be teacher centric, because students or the children get the maximum importance in a progressive classroom. Therefore, it cannot be textbook centric. Therefore, this can be eliminated. Next, in a social constructivist classroom, that is in a progressive classroom, learning happens as an active process where all the learners participate in the teaching and learning process. Therefore, when we look at the remaining options, the third option says that learners play an active part in their learning. And as I have mentioning, when we talk about a social constructivist classroom or when we talk about Vygotsky's theories, then the keyword active, right, is something that is usually there in the correct answer. Therefore, option 3 is the correct answer. Now, the second option says emphasis is placed on summative assessment. Now, summative assessment is a summarized assessment. This is the year-end exam. And if there is emphasis placed on the summative assessment, then this cannot be a progressive classroom, because in a progressive classroom, the assessment has to be continuous and comprehensive, right? Therefore, if it is only about summative assessment, then this cannot be a progressive classroom. This is a very old-fashioned classroom. And the last one says teachers use rewards and punishment to direct the children's learning. So rewards and punishment is behavioral training. It is not part of a progressive classroom or a social constructivist classroom. Therefore, this option also can be eliminated. So when we are talking about a progressive classroom or a child-centric classroom, then we are talking about the social constructivist theory. In a progressive classroom, learning is which of the following? When we are talking about a progressive classroom, we are talking about a child-centric classroom, a classroom where children actively participate in the process of construction of knowledge, and the teacher will provide the scaffolding for the students to do the learning. And we should also remember that in a progressive classroom, the assessment has to be continuous and comprehensive. It cannot be summative, right? So when we look at all the options, the last one says it is conditional upon exams. So if it is conditional upon exams, right, we are not talking about continuous and comprehensive evaluation here. We are talking about the monthly exams or the quarterly exams or the annual exams. Therefore, progressive classroom should not give a lot of importance to exams. Therefore, this is an incorrect statement. Next, can take place only through formal instruction. This is also incorrect, because learning not just happens through formal instruction or just interaction with the teachers or through textbooks. A lot of learning happens through informal interactions. That is when they are playing with each other, when they are talking to other people in their community, when they are actively participating in various activities. So children learn a lot of things outside the classroom and beyond what is given in the textbooks. So only through formal instruction. This is incorrect. Then the first one says learning is a simple process. No, learning is not a simple process because there are so many things that children have to learn, and learning or teaching is not a simple process. Therefore, this can be eliminated. Now we are left with one option, that is a social process, and this has to be the correct answer, because again, when we are talking about a progressive classroom, we are also talking about a social constructivist classroom. We are talking about Vygotsky's theory, and Vygotsky's theory, the keywords are social, cultural, language, actively construct. So here social is a keyword that is already here. Therefore, we should identify that this is the correct answer. In a progressive classroom, learning happens through which of the following process? Let's look at all the options. The last one says, is the responsibility of the learners only and teachers do not have any role. This is a completely incorrect statement, because how is it possible that teachers do not have any role in the classroom? So this statement can be directly eliminated. The next one takes place through passive reception. Now, as I have mentioned, progressive classroom is a child-centric classroom and it is a social constructivist classroom. Therefore, if there is a word passive, then it cannot be a progressive classroom because of this negative keyword, that is passive. This option can be eliminated. Then the next option says it is a one-way transmission from the teacher to the learners. Now, teaching and learning are not one-way process. It is not just about teacher standing somewhere and giving a lecture, right? Teaching and learning is a two-way process, because when the teacher teaches something, the learners will understand a few things and they might respond to the teacher, they might ask some doubts, and the teacher understands what the children have learned or not learned. The teacher will then change the teaching methodology or change the process, speed up the teaching or slow down the teaching, and teach as per the student's requirement. So teaching and learning are two-way and not one-way. Therefore, this can be eliminated. So we are left with one option, that is takes place through interaction and dialogue. Now this is the correct answer, and this is also correct as per the social constructivist theory or Vygotsky's theories, because when we look at it, these interactions and dialogue are nothing but social interactions. These can be interactions between the teacher and the students or between the students themselves. Therefore, if learning is happening through interaction and dialogue, which are social processes, then this is a progressive classroom. With that, we come to the end of this video. We have completed the 15 questions in this part, and I will see you soon in the next part. You know what to do. If you have any questions, comments or feedback, please post them below, and the rest, you know. So see you soon in the next part, and take care, stay safe.